In this video, we're going to look at the top 5 mistakes that can happen to you when you're managing files. These are a real problem for a lot of people, and hopefully by watching this video, you'll make sure it doesn't happen to you. Or if it's already happened to you, you'll learn how to fix those glitches. So let's go! So our first error is there's now nothing in my file. Look at my beautiful file. Look at all these lovely monsters I've got in my file. Right, I'm going to write a little bit of code and I'm going to do something. Okay, here's my code with open practfile W, and here we go. Now, for those of you who are not new to Python, you're probably inwardly groaning at what's about to happen. That's right. We now have a blank file. And that's really painful. If you look at that file, the W means write file. It does not mean you're going to put something through the end of the file. It doesn't mean anything. It means it's literally going to put a blank file on there. And worse still, we haven't even written anything to it. So be really, really careful of the W function, because it literally will overwrite whatever is in the file at all. So on to number 2. Yeah, it's okay on Mac and Windows, but it's not okay elsewhere. So let's have a look. Oh yes, it's working perfectly on Mac OS. Absolutely what I want. You know what? I think I'll upload it to Replit now. That would be really, really nice if we could do that. So I'll just copy and paste the code in and I'll upload my file. Just a quick drag and the job is done. Another video made. Piece of cake. No problem at all. Right, let's just quickly test it. Oh no! What's going wrong here? The reason for this is case sensitivity. On Mac and OS and Windows, by default, this and this and this are all the same. It doesn't matter, it's case insensitive. So if you happen to get your capitalization wrong, it will forgive you, it will ignore the fact. However, as far as Linux is concerned, they're nothing alike. This and this and this, they're just not the same. They're not the same at all. And Linux has always been case sensitive, so that means on your Raspberry Pi, on Replit, on anything on the internet that's hosted on Linux, then it is going to be nothing alike and you are going to get a file error. So this error is a real common one. It's there, but you can't edit or delete it. Now, some older tutorials have an older way of handling the Python, and it's so bad that I am not even going to let you see it. So let's have a look at the proper way to make sure that you always close your file and don't end up with this horrible error where you can't edit or do anything. So here we are. Here is how to do it. Always use the with open whenever possible. Okay, so this is such an important command. I want to give us a little bit more detail. Firstly, we have the function name, then we have the list, then we have the with command, and this is the thing that does the magic and makes sure that anything short of an actual full-on crash of your computer in the middle of loading or saving the file, it will always close that file. So you can see it's a really important function to learn and so useful. So the with part is the part that automatically opens and closes the file. The open command is very similar to any older Python you've seen. It does the opening. Then you have the name of the fault. If you don't put anything here, by default it's read. And if at all possible, if you don't need to save to the file, you should always read, because then it is not going to try and write or cause any problems that we've seen earlier. And finally, the name of the object that it's going to be put in. And you can see how it goes through that list. Number 4, we have it's adding stuff to the end of my file. Now this might be something you actually want to happen, but a lot of students are like, but I didn't want my entire file added, or I didn't want this added. And it is one of those problems. You know, if you're going to write, you're going to have to write the whole thing. Whereas if you can get away with adding, that's great. But sometimes you don't get the effect you want. Let's have a look at what happens when you write to a file and you add something to it. So let's have a look. Okay, so we've typed in our code and now we are going to have a look at what that has done. So as you can see, Godric is now being appended onto that file. And that might be what you want, but if it isn't, I'm afraid you have to write the entire file. Final one for this list, the can't find my file. Now I've got a few things to help you with this. So if you're using MU on Windows, there's a very handy trick to help you. So you can't find your file, just open the just open the load button, and if you double click on it, you see the entire areas where it is, and it's always looking in the folder MU code, which is great for teachers because we know where to look for it. But if you're a student or you haven't seen it before, then that's a real problem. And then you simply paste that in and you will instantly find the right folder. Ta-da! On Mac, I find the easiest way is to go and look at the recent files and find a Python file. And once you're there, have a look at the enclosing folder. None of those have worked. There's a bit more code you can do. You can import the OS, and this is going to help you really find where it is trying. So we use a try and except. If we can't find it, we're going to be able to do something about it. Okay, so the important point here is the except file not found error. So we don't want it to do it on anything. Firstly, it'll print file not found, but it's going to do a little bit more than that. It's going to tell you where it looked in terms of the directory, and it's going to print out every last file in there. So you can see if it's an error because you had a file problem or an error because you looked in the wrong directory. Hopefully, with those hints and tips, you'll help. Now, if you're not using MU, you're using something like Pycharm, I will say it's normally in the same directory as where you saved the file. If you're enjoying these videos, I'd love a sub, and I'm going to show you a lot more tricks on how to deal with files, use JSON files, and really have fun with Python.